Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on my borough of Queens. This podcast comes to you each week thanks to the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. They work tirelessly to showcase our borough as a destination filled with unique experiences, opportunities for everyone. If you live here, work here, or visit from near or far, there's so much to just absorb and take in. And of course, we have amazing cultural gems, and that's what I'm going to be discussing shortly, introducing you to one of them. What a glorious spring we have been having so far in the borough. The weather has been absolutely wonderful this past weekend with mild breezes, sunshine coaxing flowers to bloom everywhere, cherry blossoms, tulips, daffodils lighting up our parks and our neighborhoods. Easter and Passover just wrapped up, so if you celebrated either, I hope those days were filled with joy and, of course, with family. Now that spring is in full swing, let's talk about some of the things to do right here in Queens to make the most of the season. I call this my top 5 list. Number 5, stroll the Queens Botanical Garden in Flushing, where the spring blooms create a colorful paradise perfect for picnics. Number 4, bike or hike the waterfront trails at Hunters Point. Soak in those skyline views and, of course, enjoy the fresh breezes. Number 3, catch outdoor markets and street fairs popping up across the boroughs, like, of course, the Farmers Market in Jackson Heights. You get Global Eats there these days. And, of course, number 2, explore Alley Pond Park's woodland paths, spotting birds and wildflowers in full spring glory. And drum roll. Number 1, visit our world-class museums, places that offer not just inspiration, but air-conditioned inspiration when those days get just a little too warm for you. Now, speaking of museums, one you absolutely need to put at the top of your spring list is the Queens Museum in Flushing Meadows Corona Park. Housed in the former New York City building from the 1939 World's Fair and later the 1964 World's Fair, the museum has a rich history tied to innovation and global gatherings. It became the Queens Museum in 1972, evolving into a hub for contemporary art, New York City history, and community exhibits. Recently, they appointed Debra Wimpfheimer as Executive Director to lead the museum into its next chapter. A Queens native and a key member of the museum's executive leadership team since 2002, she steps into the role during a period of significant transformation for both the institution and the borough. With a strong background in arts leadership and expertise in curatorial strategy and community engagement, she is poised to elevate Queens Museum's impact in the years ahead. So I was excited to recently talk with her about the museum and, of course, about what is on the horizon. Debra Wimpfheimer, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
So you've been at the Queens Museum for a good amount of time. I believe it's more than 2 decades. And when you look back, what are a few pivotal moments in your career here that shaped how you lead today?
Well, I am so lucky to have had the opportunity to grow alongside the Queens Museum for 24 years, to be exact.
Wow.
And I'm deeply grateful for how it's shaped me and my career. I have had the opportunity to learn about every aspect of museum work, from writing grants to managing capital projects, from organizing special events to changing light bulbs and installing vinyl signage for exhibitions. So I think that knowing and understanding the work of my colleagues so intimately has informed my leadership skills greatly. And, one of the most important moments at the Queens Museum was in 2013, or during my time at the Queens Museum, was in 2013 when we doubled the museum size. We reopened the museum after doubling its size as part of a $69 million capital renovation. And the renovation added new galleries and artist studios, education spaces, and introduced a redesigned entrance overlooking Flushing Meadows. It was definitely a defining moment that cemented the museum's role as a cultural and civic hub for the Queens community. expanding our capacity for programming and enabling the launch of our studio residency program. It allowed us to deepen our partnerships with community-based organizations. And so, that is that was a very important moment that allowed us to build lasting relationships with our partners, not just one-off engagements. So, for example, a few weeks ago, we hosted a Lunar New Year celebration that we've had for several years, partnering with the New York Chinese Cultural Center, more than several, many, many years. And then just more of the deep partnerships I can talk about is with public schools through school residencies and CASA programs, and programs like the Queens Teens Institute for Art and Social Justice, our weekend family drop-in workshops, Art Access, Open Studio program for children and teens and adults with disabilities, and on and on and on. So I think the expansion really allowed us to do all of those things.
And going back a little earlier in your career, you were very involved in nonprofit fundraising, community-based projects, from hospitals to housing, youth leadership programs. What experiences from those chapters most influence how you lead the museum now?
So I started my career rolling posters in the gift shop at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Then I went to Boston Medical Center, a safety net hospital whose motto was exceptional care without exception. And I think that tagline really encapsulated the work I wanted to do. And when I started at the Queens Museum, I realized that this place embodied that ethos, but in the arts, that the arts are for everyone. And this is what I'm most interested in continuing here, like a deep community first approach informing everything we do. The Queens Museum being at the center of community. So, yeah, I think
And,
that.
and you say the arts are for everyone, but the sector has been through a lot in recent years, funding challenges, changing audience habits. What do you see as the biggest challenges, but also opportunities for a community-focused museum?
Being located in one of the most diverse places in the world, I think one of our greatest strengths is also its central challenge and opportunity. We serve a wide range of communities with varying needs, and people come to the museum for so many different reasons, whether it's for a specific artist exhibition or a fun family outing on the weekend. As a whole, we must be thinking about museums as civics infrastructure and civic spaces, not just cultural destinations. And like so many institutions, we're always learning how to better align our physical space with our work. And we've long been deeply community engaged, but there's more work we can do to ensure that our building itself feels fully welcoming and responsive to the interests, the needs, and perspective of our audiences.
The museum is entering a period of transformation, capital projects to new programming. I'd love for you first to talk about the capital work that's going to be done. Walk us through what's on the horizon and how the new spaces are going to change a family's or community members' visit. The experience is going to change.
So we're excited to start in about 8 months on another capital improvement project, which will bring the whole building into alignment. The centerpiece of this is going to be the Suna Children's Museum, a 15,000 square foot space designed from the ground up for kids and parents and caregivers. And our plans also include new accessible welcome desks, a fully accessible theater, upgraded exhibition space, dignified office space for our staff, and a designated space for older adults. So for a family visiting the Queens Museum, the experience will feel fundamentally different. And our vision is an institution that feels genuinely welcoming for every generation, every language, and every learning style.
And a lot of listeners, me included, know very well the panorama of the city of New York, but maybe do not know the full range of everything that Queens Museum does. I'd love for you to just give us a taste of some of the current or upcoming exhibitions or programs you're really excited about.
Thank you for asking that. We have an incredible show up called About Us, the American Imaginary, curated by three Terra Foundation fellows and local community members, Christina Chan, Annette Parkins, and Dave Carlos Trujillo, each of whom were appointed through a general open call. They spent the last 2 years working in the museum's archive and exploring our photography collection. We also have historically dedicated our large wall. It's a very imposing exhibition space when you walk in the museum to female artists. And right now there's a spectacular mural by Carolyn Kent on view, which will be up until December 2026. And then lastly, opening on June 27th, 2026, we're going to present Sonia Boyce's first solo museum exhibition in the United States called Sonia Boyce Demonstrate. And Sonia came to the museum in October last year to film a live performance with the Resistance Revival Chorus throughout the museum. And so the exhibition will be a culmination of this performance, including other new large-scale works she's created. Um, and the exhibition sends a much needed signal to demand hope in these very dark times, I
I
think.
say challenging times.
Yeah.
You have emphasized that Queens is the most ethnically and linguistically diverse place in the world. And I know that living in Jackson Heights.
Yeah.
How does that diversity shape decisions about exhibitions, community partnerships, and who feels at home when they step into the museum?
We want audiences to see themselves reflected in the space that's ultimately for them, like less like an institution you visit and more like a space you belong to. We want people to feel recognized and welcome. So our diversity isn't something we just reference. We build from it. It informs every decision we make, the artists we work with, the global perspectives that are represented in the exhibitions, and how we communicate with our audiences. From multilingual materials and wall texts to public programs and partnerships that surround each exhibition, we're constantly thinking about how to reflect and serve the communities around us.
And as you look ahead to the next few